Hello there, I'm Nathalia Melo, your unfiltered fit BFF, mom of two turned CEO of a fitness empire. Someone who understands the struggles of trying to stay fit, sane, and sexy, all while juggling work, life, and motherhood. And this is the Unfiltered Fit Life podcast. Follow along wherever you're listening and join me weekly as I help busy working moms just like you simplify their fitness journey so they can lose weight, regain their confidence, and feel sexy AF. It's time to stop living in the what ifs and hiding from the cameras. It's time to regain control over your body, feel sexy naked, and wear a bikini confidently. People already see you as a super confident woman, but it's time for you to feel the same way too. Let's go. Hello there, fam. Welcome to another episode of the Unfiltered Fit Life podcast. I'm Nathalia Melo, your host. And if you're watching this episode as it is released, Happy New Year. This is the first episode of 2024. Another year is beginning. And I hope you had an amazing time celebrating with your family and loved ones during the holiday season. And now is time to get things back on track. You know, there is that blur of a moment in time, which is between Christmas and New Year that you have no idea what day it is, what your name is, what you're going to have for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. But that is over. And this is a time that many people are setting goals for the new year. And I'm all about it. Big fan of goals. And one of the goals that many people set is related to fitness. Be that to lose body fat, be that to put on muscle, to work towards a marathon or whatever that goal is. Chances are that you are going to be looking for help. You're going to be looking for support on how to accomplish that goal. So instead of talking about on this first episode about setting goals, setting expectations, realistic goals, and all of that, which I think that they are very important, I thought that it would be best to give you some guidance and give you an outline on things to look for in a coach. I'm going to be outlining 5 things to look for in a coach, more specifically fitness coach, but I do think that a lot of it will apply even to coaches in other aspects as well. And the reason for this is because I have had my fair share of making very bad hires whenever it comes to business coaching. But one thing that I want to make it very clear is that just because you had one bad experience with one coach, it does not mean that every coach is going to be crap. I'm having a lot of conversations with some ladies that rightfully so are having a bit of a trauma response from coaches that they have worked with and that they think that everybody's going to operate like that, which I get it. I get it as somebody who has had the bad coaches, like I mentioned, but working on this mindset is a bit like telling yourself that you're never going to date again whenever you're 18 because you had that one heartbreak, you had one bad relationship. I don't know about you, but if I were to follow by that rationale, I would have never ended up with my husband. And I'm pretty sure that you probably feel the same way. You probably have had quite a few bad relationships and bad experiences, but you cannot let that deter you from getting the help and investing on the help that you need and that is going to fast track your results and your journey towards success. And a mistake that I see a lot of people making before we get into the things to look for when hiring a coach is that they make the sole deciding factor oftentimes the money, meaning they window shop trainers and coaches and they go, oh, what is the cheapest? And I think that it is a terrible idea because if we think about it, this is an investment in your body. This is an investment on the shell, the place that you're going to live until the end of your life. Can money be part of the decision making? Yes, but I absolutely do not think that money should be the main deciding factor whenever we're talking about hiring help with your fitness. Because what we do in the Powerhouse Academy, I see a big chunk of the work that we do with the ladies that reach out to us is undoing all the fuckery that cheap and bad coaches have done to damage these women's relationship with food, relationship with their own body, trust in themselves, believe in themselves. So it ultimately does become a lot more expensive by trying to go the cheap route whenever it comes. And this is not even mentioning the ladies that have had health issues and have had to, seek for medical help that became a lot more expensive as well because they didn't have the correct guidance from the get-go. So there is a saying, if you think that it's expensive to hire a professional, try hiring an amateur, and it could be farther from the truth. So can money be a deciding factor that you can take into account? Absolutely. But whenever it comes to your body, it's kind of going for the cheapest person to do a plastic surgery on your face. Like, that's the first thing that people see. Your body's the place where you're going to live for the rest of your life. Out of all the things that you can try to save money, I don't believe that that should be it. So what are the 5 things then that you should look for when you're hiring a coach? The first one for me would be, do they work with people like you? Meaning, do they work with people who have the same lifestyle as you? So for example, let's say that you like to travel, but this coach never goes anywhere, doesn't work with anybody that goes anywhere, doesn't know how to help you navigate traveling. Or does this coach work with people who have a similar body type as you? Have they ever helped other people that have, let's say, 100 pounds to lose, or that have just 10, 15 pounds to lose? Because there are going to be different strategies, and you are going to be able to find some coaches that have experience working with a variety of different body types. But that is oftentimes going to come with the coaches that have more experience, that have been doing this for a bit more time. Another thing that is important to keep in mind is, do they have experience working with people like you who have a career, a demanding career? I was speaking with a lady last week, and the person that she was working with, and I'm not here to trash anybody's work. Okay. I want to make this very clear, but this lady showed me her workouts and talked to me about her workouts. She's an attorney. She works crazy hours. She has a child. She has a partner. And that coach had her training like 2 hours plus 6 times a week. Is this realistic for somebody who has a demanding career? Probably not. And then the nutrition plan that he had her on was completely removed from what she had to do on her day-to-day life. She has to attend conferences. Like, for example, in the Powerhouse Academy, we have a lot of members that travel often, that have a lot of conferences. So we need to understand how to navigate that. We work with a lot of members that travel a lot. We have a member who is a pilot for American Airlines. We have several members that travel almost on a weekly basis. So we need to know how to guide them, because they're just go hard or go home, stick to the plan. Yes, you do need to stick to the plan. But if I don't know how to offer guidance to those people on how to navigate the different scenarios of their lives, it's going to make it very challenging for that person to get results, because again, it's not a one size fits all solution. So whenever I'm talking about, do they work with people like you? Do they work with people who have similar body type as you, like similar goals as far as like the fat loss or muscle gain? Do they work with people who have the similar lifestyle to you? Like, let's say you like to travel and that person never goes anywhere and only works with like homebodies that don't go anywhere. That can be a problem. Do they work with people who have demanding careers like you, if that's what you do? People that travel a lot for work, or people that don't have an absurd amount of time to spend in the gym? Do they understand that your job is your job and that fitness is just a big piece of your life, but that you cannot stop doing everything else just to accommodate a 2-3 hour workout 6 days a week? And another thing that I think is important to keep in mind, still on the do they work with people like you category, is like, are you inspired by that person? For example, I am a mother. So it is going to be a lot more likely that I'll be able to understand the lifestyle of a full-time working mom and juggling kids than someone who is 20 years old, doesn't have any kids, and their only responsibility is to make sure that they have clean underwear to wear to the gym the next day. And again, I'm not saying that every 20-year-old is not going to understand the lifestyle and be able to make accommodations if you are somebody who is busier, but chances are that you are going to be a lot more inspired and more open to listening to someone who you know that walks the walk of what they're preaching. It's not so much a matter of whether the coach that you're hiring is going to give you the right guidance, but more so for you, are you going to be open to listen and to follow the instructions and the guidance of someone who you know that doesn't have a similar life to yours? Or are you going to rely on that to be a scapegoat every single time that that person offers a suggestion to be like, oh, but you don't understand because you don't have kids. Oh, you don't understand because you don't have a full-time job. Oh, you don't understand because you don't have a husband. You don't understand because you have never worked with somebody X, Y, and Z. So it is not so much about the coach per se, not giving the right guidance, but more so about your willingness to accept that guidance when in the back of your mind, you're constantly thinking, oh, what does this person know? Do they do X, Y, and Z? See what I'm saying? So these would be the things that I would keep in mind. And that's number one. Then number two is, do they have experience with your needs? I spoke with a lady 2 weeks ago that at 6 weeks postpartum, she got a contest prep coach to train her. And she was wrecked because the experience that that coach has is with training people for competitions. That coach does not have experience with that lady's needs, which was somebody who was going to be able to navigate the changes that her body had gone through in a systematic manner, get her back to training at max capacity while adjusting everything to the changes that her body had gone through. So hiring a contest prep coach when you are postpartum or when your goal is, to look good, but still go out to eat and still travel or not ever be able to go to a restaurant or have to wait for that one day to go to a restaurant. So you really need to become very aware of what your needs are and what you're willing to sacrifice to the experience that that coach that you're hiring has. Like another example is, let's say that you're perimenopausal or menopausal. The majority of that coach's client base is just men. How likely is that coach to understand the struggles of the hormonal fluctuation of your perimenopausal and menopause season of life? So these are all things that you need to keep in mind. I cannot begin to tell you how many people I have turned away who reached out to me because they wanted to, I want to get ready for a marathon. I don't have experience myself running a marathon, nor do I, quite honestly, want to. Not my jam. Don't like running. If you see me running, I'm probably running from something. So I will likely refer that person to somebody else. Why? Because I don't have personal experience, and we as a team, we don't specialize in getting people ready for competition. We don't specialize in getting people ready for marathons. And it's okay. I feel perfectly at peace with turning people away because I know that we're not going to be able to deliver the results that somebody who is more of an expert in that area would be able to. And that's something that oftentimes people try to push a square through a little round hole, and it's not going to work. They're trying to make that contest prep coach be their lifestyle coach that is going to understand that they have a life and they want to attend birthday parties with their kids and eat cake. And I'm not saying necessarily that what the contest prep coach is doing is wrong. Chances are that they don't have experience with your needs because the majority of the people that they work with are willing to get in shape at all costs. How do I know this? Because I have been there. Which there is nothing wrong with that, but you need to understand that the experience with your needs, with, your injuries, with the stage of life that you're in. All of that needs to be taken into account. Then number 3, do they have qualifications? And again, I want to make it very clear that getting qualifications in the fitness industry, it's not the hardest thing that there is. Okay. So is it important to have qualifications? Yes. Is it going to be the absolute make or break? I'm not exactly sure, because I have had conversations with registered dietitians that really didn't know much about this area of the nutrition and the muscle building, fat loss. It was more knowledge from a clinical standpoint. And I've had conversations with folks that had a kinesiology degree and they couldn't point out where different muscles were. So is having qualifications important? Yes. Is it going to be an absolute kind of, oh my goodness me, a hard no? I'm not entirely sure. I don't know. Whenever it comes to more specific categories of help, for example, in the Powerhouse Academy, we have a counselor. Do I think that a counselor needs to have qualification? Absolutely. Because I don't have the qualification to support somebody on the mental health side of things. And I am perfectly okay with admitting that and with knowing that I have to stay on my lane. I have the qualifications to be a coach, to work with pre and postnatal women, to work with menopausal women. That's my lane. But whenever it comes to the mental health, I don't have the qualifications for that. Whenever it comes to navigating women who have diabetes, who have allergies, food allergies, who have health conditions, high blood pressure, and all that jazz, am I qualified for that? Not really, but we have a registered dietitian who can offer the support, who can offer the expertise, who can offer the guidance. So whenever we're talking about more specific help that I believe a lot of people need within fitness, I do think that it is important to look for that qualification. Okay? Ask the questions. Make sure that you are digging deep and seeing how that is going to help you. And which then brings me to my next point, which is, do they use terms and jargons that you have absolutely no idea what they mean and they can't explain in layman terms? That shit pisses me off, which is trainers and coaches that just regurgitate what they read on social media to their clients because they were told by probably somebody that they look up to, and they cannot simplify that. They just talk all these different, I'm detoxifying your body and we're like biohacking your system and I'm going to change everything at a molecular level, a cellular level. If they are not able to explain any of the bullshit that they just said, chances are that they don't know what they're talking about. And they're just talking in these very, very fancy terms and jargons to make them sound smart. But in my opinion, as a coach, the proof that you're smart and that you know what hell it is that you're doing is when you're able to look at something that is very complex and tell the people that you are going to help how that is going to happen in a very simple and straightforward manner. Sometimes you might need to say some terms that some people might not be familiar with, but I still need to be able to break it down and explain what that specific term means. So if you are looking for a coach and they are talking all these like fancy words and jargons that you have no idea what it is, and whenever you ask why and you ask for more details and information, they still don't know. They don't know how to break it down, how to explain it to you like a normal human being. Chances are that they suck. And then the fifth one is, do they have testimonials, references, interviews? And listen, I know that there are people out there editing the crap out of their clients' pictures, and that you can actually go on stock photos websites and find before and afters. So the testimonials, as far as like pictures and things like that, you can do a reverse Google search of those images. So if you see an image that looks too good to be true, do a reverse Google search on that and see if it is an actual image from that person or if it is just a stock photo. Because believe it or not, there are plenty of coaches that are stealing pictures from other fitness professionals or getting photos from stock websites. So do a reverse Google search. Interviews. That's one of the reasons why I love doing interviews with our members. And I want to eventually start doing it on a podcast, but I really like the idea of doing it on Instagram where they can show their faces and it's like a live video. So, if somebody joins the call live, like joins the interview live, they can ask questions. I ain't got nothing to hide. And another thing that we do as well is if I'm speaking with someone and I see that that person is skeptical, rightfully so, because there is so much fuckery out there in the fitness space, I will be the first one to offer to put that person in contact with one of our members. And I tell our members, I'm like, I want you to be as honest as you can. If the person asks, oh, am I going to have to take supplements or whatever it is? I want them to tell their truth. We do not make people buy a whole bunch of supplements. There are people that like that. There are people that do not like that. But I want our members who I find that, for example, align with that person that I'm speaking to. And whenever I connect them, more often than not, people normally don't ask. I offer because I want the person who is joining our program to be comfortable with the process and to hear about somebody else's experience that is similar to them. And I do not coach. I do not tell anything to our member that I am inviting for that call. And I think that that is incredibly important. So if the coach that you're speaking to is not open to putting you in contact with an existing client, chances are that there is something shady going on. So I'll keep that in mind. And another thing still within that category that I find it is important to keep in mind is to see and to ask if they gotten results other than the one that they got for themselves. Because oftentimes I will see literally people give out the same meal plan that their coach gave it to them, and they start giving the same meal plan to everybody else that comes to work with them. And I don't have to establish that that is likely not to work because every body is different. Every body has a different lifestyle, different preferences, different availability in time for how many meals they can have. So have they gotten results to other people in a way that you can see yourself following? Because if the answer is no, then there is your answer. So these would be the 5 things that I would recommend to look for in a coach. I'm going to do a quick recap real quick here. Number 1, do they work with people like you? And what I mean by that is like with the same body type, similar lifestyle, with a career. Imagine that you have a job that you're pulling 10 hours a day, 8 hours, 9 hours, 12 hours a day. There's no way that you can follow a workout regimen that requires you to be in the gym 6 times a week for 2 hours each time. But if the coach is not used to working with a mom who works 10 hours a day, they're probably just going to say that you're lazy or that you can't stick to shit or that you cannot do this and keep on giving you those 2-hour workouts, which is going to make you non-compliant because you're going to burn out. Are you inspired by your coach? Do you feel like you're going to listen to that person? Because it's not so much about, what the coach knows, but do you find that it's going to be easy for you to listen to that coach whenever they're telling you X, Y, and Z, and they have a completely different life from yours? Are you going to listen to that? Or are you going to use the differences as a scapegoat for you to be like, oh, but that person doesn't understand because they don't X, Y, and Z? So keep that in mind. And then 2, do they have experience with your needs, your lifestyle, any injuries that you might have, or if you're pregnant or postpartum, if you're menopausal, perimenopausal, if you're getting ready for a competition, if you're getting ready for a marathon, if you're getting ready for a triathlon, does that coach have experience to get you to the best level that you can be for that need that you have? Number 3, do they have qualifications or people in their team have qualifications? Like I mentioned, the certifications, they are important, but I would take it a bit with a grain of salt because I'm a certified personal trainer. Well, Like through what? Did you just got your certification like 2 days ago? Because a lot with coaching and training is with that hands-on. And I find that like for my beginning, I began in the gym, like literally watching people, coaching people. And I find that the things that I learned from working on the floor have been paramount for me to be able to be successful with coaching online. Number 4, do they use terms and jargons that you have no idea what they mean and they can't explain in layman terms? So are they trying to talk bougie just to sound smart, but they have no idea what the fuck they're talking about? Are they able to simplify a process that is complex? Because chances are that you do not need to complicate anything. The reason why you haven't been able to stick to anything probably is because everything has been overly complicated. So the job of a coach is to take all the bullshit that is unnecessary and keep things as simple as possible. And that is not going to come with fancy terms and like, oh, because, it's like the detoxification of a cellular level. Well, if you start to eat more fiber, lean protein consistently in a manner that you can stick to, chances are that all of that's going to happen regardless. And you are not going to need any detox or any special meals. Number 5, do they have testimonials, references, interviews, and are they open to putting you in contact with their existing clients? And also, have they gotten results for other people other than the results that they have gotten for themselves? So these would be my 5 things to look for in a coach. And this is coming from being a coach and from being somebody who has had coaches in the past and who has made very bad choices and also good choices. These were the things that I would really pay attention to. And in hindsight, would definitely have saved me a lot of stress and headache from hiring the shady ones. And again, make sure that you're not relying just on how much the investment is, because ultimately your body is the place you have to live for the rest of your life. So make sure that you keep that in mind as well. All right. I hope this episode today was helpful. If you have any questions about today's episode or anything that you'd like to run it by me before you start, speaking with a coach and ask for my opinion, please send me a message on Instagram. The link is down in the show notes down below. It's easy to find. I'm normally very quick to answer. I check my DMs very often because I want to make sure that I'm available to answer any questions that you might have. If you are enjoying this podcast, I would love for you to leave a review. That's your way of showing appreciation and of paying me back. And if you'd like help with your fitness from me and my team, you can also find a link down below in the show notes on how to schedule a call to see if we are the right fit and the right people to help you right now. There is an application process to join the Powerhouse Academy. You can schedule a call in the link down below. And we can talk, we can discuss. The call is going to be with me. And I will be, that I don't piss around the bushes. If I feel like I cannot help you, I'll tell you. But for that, I need to learn a little bit more about you. Okay? I hope to see you guys next week. Once again, a happy new year. See you soon. Bye-bye. Thank you so much for tuning in this week. But let me ask you, what was your aha moment in today's episode? I would love to know. You can leave me a comment or voice message at the link in the show description. You can also follow me on Instagram and let me know what topics you want to hear more about or who I should have on the show. As for today, this is it for today, guys. I'll see you back next week for another episode of the Unfiltered Fit Life podcast.